Simplified Chaos, Episode 82.
Life is beautiful and full of chaos.
And it can get slightly out of hand if that shit's not tamed.
We're here to share how to simplify the little things to help you lead a more intentional life.
This is Simplified Chaos.
Hey, wonderful friends. Welcome to Simplified Chaos. This is Jillian, one of your hosts, and I'm with my co-host and husband, Nicholas.
What is going on, folks? Hope you all are having a wonderful week. We're coming at you from the stormy studios here at the Koselniak house. A nice little evening full of rain, much needed. It's been hot as hell here in Maryland.
Yeah.
But enough about our complaints. Jilly, what are we getting into this week?
Today's topic is all about a fortune cookie.
Yeah, fortune cookie changed our lives.
It just sparked this episode topic.
It really did. And it's funny because fortune cookies no longer really tell fortunes.
No.
They have life advice, and then sometimes they just have some shit that you just are like, what? What did they just tell me to do? This isn't a fortune. But we were lucky enough to get a fortune cookie that made a lot of sense, hit home.
It did.
And we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. And before we get into today's fortune cookie adventure, we're going to show a little gratitude. Jilly, what are you grateful for this week?
Today I am grateful for dental hygienists.
Oh, wow. So Lucille had a dentist appointment today. Tell. I'm curious to see where this is going.
She had her second dentist appointment ever. And of course she was like clinging to me because she sees this giant chair, and she, last time she wasn't even asked to go in the chair. She was just in my lap and she was facing me and her legs were around me. And then I kind of like leaned her back on my knees.
Okay.
And they kind of did what they needed to do that way.
It was time to get in the big girl chair.
It was. And she was like, all right, so you're going to lay her on this chair, and then you're going to cross her arms and you're going to hold her down pretty much like a restraining jacket. Like
the mommy straight jacket.
And I kept saying like, can I just hold her? Because she was like not having it. She was crying and crying and crying.
Was she doing her Tasmanian devil cry?
The dental, sort of. The dental hygienist was very kind. She's like, so you're going to put her in this chair? Like she just kept repeating what I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right. So she was crying and kicking, and I put her in the chair and held her hands. And of course she's wailing, and, we get her to finally lay her head back. And as soon as she gets in there and starts working, I'm just counting. I'm like 1, 2, 3, and she's still crying, but her mouth is open. So that was a good thing. And the dental hygienist was like, I'm sure she's probably used to it, maybe at kids that age.
Sure.
And
have to.
Lucille was just crying her way through it, but then after she was done, like she got up and I was like, can you say thank you? Thank you. Like completely okay. Then she had to get in again for the doctor to do her little checkup and was like wailing again. But you know what? Everyone was so calm and collective, and they even had, I didn't even think about this experience for kids, but they were all masked up and they had like just more things on than usual. They even had their hair pinned back. They had a shield. Yeah. They had a hair nets of some sorts. So they had these little keychains that they would carry around with their picture on it, showing them what they actually look like.
Oh, that's cool.
So they're like, so this is your doctor. This is what she looks like if you don't remember. And like they actually showed what their face looked like. Because I'm sure kids are probably freaked out seeing these people and like all these coverings and not, knowing who the heck is working on me. So I was like, that's pretty smart to do that, so the kids have a little bit more ease and can recognize their dentist if they've been going there regularly.
I didn't really think about that either. I had my teeth cleaned not too long ago, and yeah, it was the shield and everything like that. But like to me, I know what my hygienist looks like. I mean, I've been going to her for years. Whereas Lucille is like, I haven't seen this person in a year or 6 months or whatever it is. I don't remember her. And
that and just what they're wearing is not the norm, Like
no.
You can't see any part of
it's like you're going in for surgery.
Really. Yeah. So I thought that was very clever, and everyone was just very calm and cheery and happy, and it was a very nice experience. And I actually prefer this experience because I wasn't in the waiting room for like a half an hour. I pulled in the parking lot, called them. They're like, all right, here's the paperwork to sign. We're going to send someone out. And it was like in a jiffy, we were in and out. So they're like, it was really nice.
Yeah. The efficiency has to be a a very prioritized thing now because you have to still have that appointment back to back, and you have to take these extra precautions. So I mean, they have to be on top of it now. So good for them. I'm glad that it was a good experience for you guys.
It was. So what about you?
I'm grateful for your mom.
Oh.
Yeah. We are getting ready to do another getaway.
Yes, we are.
We are. So we were supposed to be going out to Colorado this week. We had our flight booked. We paid $200 for round trip tickets for both of us. I mean, that was total for the both of us to go out to Denver. But, with coronavirus making I don't want to even say a comeback, but, surging again, we were like, you know what? This year, just air travel isn't in the cards for us. We got lucky and we had a chance to travel out to St. Louis to interview Michelle back in January before all the craziness happened. But, we were going to go out there and we had somebody we wanted to interview, and it's just not in the cards for us this year. We'll figure out a way to interview, via Skype or whatever.
We are. I just messaged her.
Newsflash.
And she said that she would love that. So we're going to interview her over Zoom. So
awesome.
We'll have that for people later.
So stay tuned for that, folks.
Yeah.
But instead of going out to Colorado, we decided to do something where we can minimize the risk, and we'll be driving. It's a drivable trip, and so we're going to Charlottesville, Virginia. There is a lot of great little restaurants there, and it's close to the Shenandoah Mountains. So we are going to do some hiking. We're going to do some exploring locally, and I'm not sure that restaurants are fully open there or half open or seating people outside, but we're going to make the most of it, and we're going to have a nice little getaway for a couple of days. And so, I really appreciate your mom, willing to help out on that and to watch Lucille as we get a little time alone.
I agree.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
I haven't really looked forward to something in a while. Experiences are one of those things where I really look forward to, just finding new places and doing something different.
Yeah. And we might be incorporating a little bit of that into today's episode. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, we're going to talk a little bit about how we're replacing our desire to travel with things that we're doing here at the home, in the home front.
Yes. So I guess we should first start with this fortune cookie.
Yeah, let's I'm sure people are dying to know what our fortune cookie said last Friday.
And come to find out, when I did Google it, it was a quote from a famous humorist who used to write in the newspaper back in the day. So I guess they take quotes and just put them on pieces of paper and call it a fortune. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, it's making them money.
So this quote was said from Franklin Jones. And here was the quote that kind of sparked some conversation. A bargain is something you don't need at a price you can't resist. A bargain is something you don't need at a price you can't resist.
That sparked so much conversation. At first I heard that quote and I was just like, hell yeah. It's probably the most perfect quote about our spending habits, not us personally, but the United States as a whole. And, it's generalizing. Not everybody has the same habits, but I would say a majority of us, are ingrained and programmed that way, that you have to take the bargain no matter what. You're not going to get that opportunity again.
I feel like we don't do as much thinking, and that's why they do it. I honestly think we're wired to, when we see 75% off, 50% off, we don't even think twice about the quality of the product, how well it's made, how long it's going to last. We just instantaneously,
or even if you're going to like it.
Yeah, we just say, oh, why shouldn't we do that? That would be silly if we don't. And I think our whole experience through simple living, or just, getting rid of the excess and then just really questioning things, we have done that and saved so much money by just questioning, why do I need that? Or what's its purpose? Or how long is it going to last? Instead of just saying, yeah, I should get that because that's what we do in America. We buy and we don't ask questions and we brag about it too. Like, oh my God, I got this at 50% off instead of, hey, look at this well-made shirt that I got. You know, it's kind of funny how now that I'm more aware of it, I hear it. I'm more mindful when I hear it. And I'm like, I used to talk like this. Like, I'd be really excited to talk about sale prices. And now I'm like the opposite. I'm like, look at this really nice hat that I got at $200.
Right.
And it's made well and I wear it all the time. Like, I'm really excited to talk about prices now because I realize how much more I value items and really take the time to put thought into it.
And that's the thing too, like, think about it from a kid's perspective. Like, if a kid gets something, and it's a gift to them, they may or may not take care of it. They didn't put any money into it. They didn't put any work into it to get that item. And the same thing I feel like when it comes to something that's at a reduced price, you're not going to take care of it as if it's something that you paid full price for. You may have no problem leaving it in the back of the closet or in a drawer somewhere or out in the garage, just depending on what the product is. But, if it's something that you've researched, you've been looking for it, and you're willing to spend, the right amount of money on it, then you are going to take care of it. You are going to use it. You are going to find a way to incorporate it in your daily living. So, yeah, I mean, I really, truly just value like things. And, if I happen to get a deal on it, that's great if I've been looking at it for a while. But at the same time, if I don't get a deal on it, and to me, I perceive that value being worth it, then I'm going to pull the trigger on it. So, no, I think that's a good point there.
And I feel like through the however many years we've been living life this way and questioning items before we buy it, I can honestly say that 99% of bargains don't align with my values. Like, they end up not being a good choice. And here's just an example. Like, it just kind of clicked when you were talking about, our trip to Colorado. Like, we booked it because it was a bargain. Like, we were supposed to go out there.
It was a bargain. We were also hopeful too.
Yes, but also like you're like, oh my God, it's $200. Like, why shouldn't we? So we did book it. You're right. There was like a little bit of both, but at the end of the day, one of our biggest values is our health. And no matter what the cost of that price of those tickets were, it's like, our health is more important. We don't want to go there, get something, bring it back, give it to my mom. Like, yeah. But, at the end of the day, like, we knew, like, this isn't in line with what we believe is the best decision for our health and our family around us. So I think that was, like, a great example when I heard you say that, like, yes, it was a bargain. Like, why shouldn't we? But at the same time, we're like, so it's probably not the healthiest decision for us at this time and for our family around us.
Well, and we knew going into that purchase is that there was a couple of things. One, we had somebody we wanted to meet and interview out there. And so it was like, this is the perfect time to pull the trigger on that. And my second thought was, even if, we can't make it out there, and we did exactly what we said we were going to do. Is at the beginning of July, we were going to evaluate where things were. And if things were continuing to improve, then we were willing to take that risk to get on the airplane, to get the flight out there, to rent a car, to go rent an Airbnb, to visit some people that we haven't met before and have an interview. So we were willing to take that risk if things were getting better, but obviously things aren't getting better. In some cases, they're getting worse, just depending on the area. I mean, for me, this is kind of a little off topic. It's just like right now, I'm grateful to live in Maryland because it seems like things are still very positive here, even though cases are now starting to go up a little bit. I think that we've been very conscious about what's going on. You and I, we make sure we wear masks wherever we go. And I think a lot of the people around here are doing the same thing. But you never know. I mean, we could have a resurgence as well. I just started playing softball again this past week, and who knows how that's going to go. So we'll see what happens. But
you had fun.
Yeah, I had fun. But, with the flight to Denver, and then, we had a flight later in the year to Arizona to see your dad. And he was supposed to come out here this month, too. And, we've had conversations, and we're like, it's if we have to go a year without air travel, then, so be it. But, I think it was a great decision, and we got lucky with the flight costs, when we did that, and it just happened to be the right place at the right time. if we weren't going through a pandemic, I'd be happy paying the $8,000-$9,000 it would cost to go out to Denver.
I think we just pulled the trigger with both those flights quicker than normal because it was a bargain.
We did.
Yeah,
without
I think that
doubt.
just goes to show you, like with bargains everywhere, people are just very quick to pull the trigger and just saying, yeah, I should have that, or I gotta have that. Like there's something in our brain that we are wired to think like we would be stupid if we didn't grab on that. And I kind of had this epiphany when we were on a walk the other day about just the word investment, because we were talking about, and I want to share about what we're doing financially, because this is about finances, and
it is.
I like being open about it with our listeners too, because I think these are conversations we should have on the reg. I use the reg.
The reg.
I feel cool.
God, it reminds me of Kenny Powers. Good times on the reg.
I think these are conversations we should have, and I know we talked about this in our budgeting episode, probably just about how
we've had a couple of finance episodes in the past year, and definitely I encourage you all to check out our budgeting episode. I think that's one of our most listened to episodes.
Nice. I mean, everyone has to worry about money because, money makes the world go round. But I had this epiphany when we were talking about investments, and I realized that if I replace the word like purchases with investments, for some reason, when I hear the word investments, I take more thought into thinking about it before I do anything. Like, instead of just, I bought a latte, it's like, I want to invest in a latte. And when I say that, it's like, that kind of changes the conversation to me. It's like, if I'm investing in something, I really have to think about it. Like, is it in line with all my values? Like, is this good for my family? Is this good for my health? Is this good for, like, in the long run? I feel like more thought goes into it when we use the word investments. And it just had me thinking about maybe switching that word for people who like need that trigger to like force themselves to think more. Just like treat each tiny purchase you make like an investment. And it's weird. Like when you think about it, investments we usually think of are large things. Like they cost a lot of money or there might be some risks. But when you change happens when you make small changes. So why not think of the tiny purchases as investments? Because those are the tiny things that make monumental changes eventually in your life.
Yeah.
So why not flip it and everything you buy becomes an investment, because they all have power to make great change in your life, whether positively or negatively.
I mean, think about the way that the language has been changed over the last, I would say probably the last 20 years or so, as particularly in like government. And they were like, it used to be government spending. But if you listen to the language that politicians talk about, it's all about investing. And it's because of that way that people think about investing. It's like investing in the future, investing in our children, investing in infrastructure and whatnot. And it's just like, we need to make that investment. But when you change it to just spend money on those things, it's a different feeling about it. And so I think investing is a powerful word, and using it for simple purchases as a latte from, I'm not going to say Starbucks because I'm not a big Starbucks fan, but from a local coffee shop, or investing in a plane ticket to go on a vacation. Like it really changes the way you think about things. And I think it makes you act a little bit more intentionally when it comes to making those purchases. So I think a lot of what we're talking about today is changing the language that we use when we are talking about making purchases, and whether they're big or small. But yeah, did you want to talk a little bit about? Yeah.
So I wrote, just reflecting, like, I think this would be a cool exercise if anyone wants to try it. I guess it could be a take action, but maybe not.
Let's exercise right now.
I wanted to think of like the small investments that I've made recently, to think if they all aligned with my values in life, just to see if I am living how I'm speaking. And I was thinking, like, we get lattes pretty often out. We do takeout nights like twice a week. We have a mini vacation coming up. I just recently bought new clothes because I wore out my other ones, and I buy very good food. Like I spend extra on organic food and quality brands, and everything I just said definitely aligns either with like my family's needs, my family's health, or my growth, or it adds to an experience, or it's good for my mindset or my emotional or physical health. Like all of those things totally aligned with what I value in life. So it just kind of confirms that what we're doing is working. And like we're saving money too. Like it's funny how we were programmed that if you spend more money, like you're supposed to save whenever you can, and that's how you're going to save money in the long run. But really, we spend money on the things that are adding to our well-being and what we value in life, and then we're not buying the other shit.
And I think that's key what you're saying, and particularly now more than in the past is, we're going through a time period where we've been socially isolated, distanced from our friends. We haven't been going out to bars or restaurants. We haven't been doing full on date nights. Obviously we've been doing takeout, and you and I have our latte date once a week. So we're finding ways to kind of make up for those things that we're missing right now. And it is adding value to ourselves because it's helping us maintain our sanity, our well-being, and it's, finding replacements for those things that we enjoyed pre-COVID and making slight adjustments and investing in our well-being. So, it's just one of those things where maybe we are spending a little bit more on lattes than what we did in the past. I don't know. I mean, we've done some budgeting spreadsheets and whatnot, and kind of found out when quarantine started that we were actually spending our money shifted. We were saving money in certain places, but we were shifting some money to other places. And I think we've invested heavily in Lucille's happiness as well over the last 3 months. Just kind of thinking about some of the purchases that we've done just to kind of make it fun around here in a place that's enjoyable for her as she grows and blooms. And we obviously find places to go and travel to now that playgrounds are open and whatnot. But before there were no playgrounds, like we couldn't take her to go swing on the swings or whatnot. So we had to come up with some creative things to do around here. So, we've made a lot of small investments, but at the same time, we're making a couple large investments too.
And one more thing I want to say before we talk about that.
Yeah.
I think what I've learned, at least in my experience, like in my life, I think I was trained to always save money in some capacity in like all areas of life. Like, don't spend too much money on clothes. Don't spend too much money on food. Like, always find the deal everywhere instead of spend money on things that really matter to you.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, don't spend it all. And you end up with this amazing blossoming bank account and a happy person. So to me, it's like I wasn't trained that way. I was always trained to find the best deal on everything. And that's how I was trained. That's how I'm going to save a lot of money and be happy in the future. But really what I'm finding out as an adult is that no, invest heavily and spend good quality money on the things that are going to make you a better human, a happier human, a healthier human, and then let the rest of the shit go and don't even worry about it.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. A lot of us were either brought up in excess or frugality. And just depending on how you were brought up, some people are living outside of their means right now. And then some people are they save everything and are waiting until they're in their 60s or 70s to experience life. And it's all about just saving. And really for us, it's really about finding that happy balance. And there are some areas where we're going to be a little bit more frugal than other areas. And then there are other areas where we're going to be in excess because it brings us joy. We find value in it. But at the same time, I feel like we've got a really good balance.
I'd say rhythm,
balance, whatever you want to call it. I would say more so in the last year and a half than ever.
Yeah, it's taken a lot of practice.
It has, and
really
took a lot of practice. It took finding the right financial advisor, and just this current situation that we're in, because mortgage rates are ridiculously low right now. So Jilly and I...
Let's talk about large investments.
Yeah, let's talk about a little bit of large investments.
Hashtag adulting.
Jilly and I are now taking advantage of these low rates and are refinancing because this is not, in our minds, this is not our forever home. Like we've talked about that, and that's actually a good episode we wanted to talk about.
I don't even like the word forever home.
You don't like that term, and
there's so many unknowns. Like
there is.
Who knows what I want in 20 years.
So, ideally, if we saw ourselves here long term, and I'm talking like the next 15 to 20 years, then we would be refinancing right now to shorten our loan term, like to a 15 or a 20-year term. But we know that we're not going to be here forever. We see ourselves here for the next 3 to maybe, I would say at the very most 7 years. And then we're probably looking to downsize and do something with me, you, and Lucille instead of, the co-living situation that we have. But right now, the co-living situation works extremely well for us. Your mom is right down the street and is able to watch both kids if we need.
Yeah.
So we're in a wonderful situation when it comes to support. So we made a decision. We have full disclosure, our loan rate right now is 4%, what we got back in 2015. And rates are below 3% right now. Mm-hmm. So we locked in at 2.625 today, which is, kind of part of the reason why we're talking about this. We are saving over $350 a month. And I always told Jill that, we weren't going to refinance, just because there are lower rates out there, unless we're saving, I think I said a minimum of $250 a month. And then I said it would be advantageous for us to take a look at that. Well, $350 a month, sign me up, we'll take that. But, we had to talk about our plan, where we see ourselves in 5, 10, 20 years. Mm-hmm. And we know that we're here between that 5 and 10 year mark. So for us, it made sense now for us to continue a 30-year loan, save the $350 a month. And we're going to do a little investing into our house. We're talking about possibly replacing our kitchen cabinets or just painting them. We haven't decided yet.
Yeah. So everywhere else in the house has been updated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy to think that the last thing that we're doing is the kitchen, because that's where we spend the most time.
It really is.
So, I've been doing little homemade things here and there to spruce up the kitchen and just keep it going. But lately, the cabinets have gotten really grimy. I mean, we've had these cabinets in the house since the house was built.
Yeah, 93.
And I think the kitchen needs some loving, and I think I'm ready for the kitchen to get a little facelift, because we're in there all the time. And
it's your studio.
I'm ready to give it a little sparkle and something new. And I'm ready to invest money in the place that brings me so much joy and is like the meat of my business. Like, I got the joy of cooking in that kitchen, and I want to give it some loving. So, we're going to be investing some money in sprucing up the kitchen, probably getting some new cabinets and new countertops. And I know it's like, that's a lot of money, but you know what? We value that kitchen more than life. And that's where all the memories have been made, like the dinners we share, the cocktails you make, the parties we have. Like, it's all around that island in that little kitchen.
It really is.
I think it's time it needs some loving, and I'm ready to
give it a
do
little
quality,
update,
just spend some quality money on it. And I don't want to half-ass it. I thought about painting the cabinets, but the face of the cabinets are wood, and then the side of the cabinets are kind of like that fake wood where I'm like,
laminate, yeah.
I was like, I think we should just, and you know what? It's going to, one less thing the buyer who buys this house is not going to have to do. We're going to make it.
That's the biggest thing too, is the kitchen. Like, most people want to have the kitchen, quote unquote, and then nice bathrooms, and, the bedrooms just need to be big or, painted nicely or whatever. It really doesn't matter. But like, it's always the kitchen and the master bathroom seem to be the main attraction in the house.
And I know a lot of people, like, before they sell, they seem to renovate the kitchen and then they sell it, and they don't really get to enjoy the renovation process. So it's like, if we're going to renovate it, like, let's do it fucking now.
And let's do it for us.
And let's do it for us so we can enjoy it and put some loving into it. And then we're going to kindly sell it to someone, another family who's going to put more love and joy in that kitchen and, not have to worry about doing that. So I'm really excited for this project. Yeah. It's more than just, a lot of money. It's like, it's really like, I think it's in line with all of our values, and I think this is a good way to spend it.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of good conversations, I would just say, in the last 48 hours. I mean, on Monday, our neighbors who are selling their house, their real estate agent has been in touch with me because I'm the president of our homeowners association, and he needed some documents, and he slides in this text to me, and he goes, do you know anybody else in your development who is looking to sell their home? I got 17 offers on the house that is selling, and he had it on the market for 4 fucking days and got 17 offers. And to me, I'm just like, in today's economy, there is a shortage of supply. Interest rates are the lowest that they are. Like, this is prime buying time for anybody out there. Actually, no, I scratch that. It's not prime buying time. It is prime selling time. If you're buying right now, you're buying way over market value at a cheap rate. Non-disclosure, I am not a financial advisor, so don't take my word for it, but I look into this stuff here. But it was so appealing to me, and I'm like, Jill, and you even said it, you kind of brought it up before me. You're like, maybe we sell and we live in a condo in Annapolis or something and figure that out. So we've had to have a lot of conversations over the last 48 hours, but ultimately we decided that we want to stay here. We have the best support here. There's a lot of moving parts. Let's break up some of the monotony we've had here. Let's update the kitchen. It's the place we spend most of our time. We're not taking any cash out of the house to do the updates. We are going to get some money back from escrow because it's a rate term refinance. We're going to skip a mortgage payment. So essentially that's about $6,000 in our pocket right there.
We're adulting hardcore in this conversation right now.
So it's just like, we have $6,000 to invest in the kitchen, and we will be getting, I scratched that. We're getting $2,000 cash out because that's the max allowable amount when you do a rate term refinance.
And we're giving all the deets. I love this.
We're gonna have $8,000 to play with the kitchen, and then we'll have to come out of pocket if we need to for the other part of it. But we've got new appliances. It's just really cabinets and possibly the countertops.
Yeah. Oh, an oven.
And the oven. Yeah, that's a given. That is the oldest appliance in this house.
Yeah, and we just pulled the trigger and thoughtfully invested in a new couch too.
We did. It was time, and this is actually the first couch that Jill and I are purchasing together.
It's pretty adorable.
Yeah. So I was like, oh man, did we just make our first furniture purchase together? Actually, we did buy a king size bed a few years back, but that's besides the point, So we bought a nice sectional leather couch that is kid friendly and pet friendly. You might not think that with leather couches, but trust me, my parents bought a leather couch when me and my brothers were probably in 10, 12 or whatever, and we beat the shit out of it. And then not to mention, we had 2 dogs who were always up and off of it. They weren't scratchers or biters or anything like that. So, we didn't worry about that. But I mean, that couch got great use. And then I ended up selling that furniture to the guy who bought my house in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So that furniture, as far as I know, is 25 years going strong.
Yeah.
And is still the best furniture ever. So we're hoping that the leather couch that we have provides us that much value and that much time with it.
Yeah, I mean, we invested a good chunk of money in
investment.
it. That wasn't a bargain by any means.
No,
we know we really need that if we're putting this much money towards a couch. And again, we're on the couch all the time. So why not spend quality money where you spend your time?
Yep, absolutely. So, yeah, that's what we're doing to kind of fill our vacation void is to reinvest that money that we would normally take for these trips.
It feels good
and
though,
put it into the house, and it does feel good. It looks back on all the hard work that we've done, and I'm just glad that we're able to do this and make some of these fun changes to keep things interesting here in the Kaselniak household.
And I think something else that kind of sparked it is that we recently we talked with our friend who lives in Copenhagen because we did visit him last year in July. And I love the aesthetic of his home in Copenhagen. And the hygge is the word to describe it. Just that
Didn't we have a hygge
cozy feel, a lot of natural light, very bright spaces, lots of plants. And it just has that feel that you just want to stay in there all day. And I was like, why can't we put that in our home? Like, why can't we make our house have that vibe? And we're starting to transform it a little bit, here and there, with certain pieces of furniture. We're not going crazy because, me, I don't like a lot of things to clean. So it's like maybe a new pillow, a new couch, a new rug. And, we're making small steps to kind of bring vacation to our house and just kind of give it that aesthetic. Because I think that's another thing with the monotony of being at home. There's the monotony of your house as well. And I think if it brings you joy and it adds to your mental health to change things in your home, whether that be a coat of paint, a new chair, a pillow, like why hold back? Like why not do that if it's going to make you feel a calmer and happier person?
And again, now's the perfect time to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
This was fun.
This was fun. I've never really enjoyed finances until how we discuss finances and we talk about it and we don't hide behind it, and I'm learning more about it. So I'm really excited to talk about money more.
Yeah. And if this is something you guys want us to talk about more, just hit us up. Slide into our DMs. I heard that today. I've always wanted to say that. Slide into our DMs and let us know.
Well, you just said slide into my mail earlier, slide into my inbox, or you said you used the word slide, and I was just kind of chuckling inside.
Man, am I getting old or what? I'm kidding.
We're young.
Yeah. So do you have any resources, Jilly, to share with our lovely listeners?
So this resource I got from
besides the fortune cookie.
An Instagram post, and it's this guy who I believe he's a financial advisor, and I really am intrigued because he gets me thinking. He put a post up that said something about have you ever been peer pressured into buying a house because you were told it's a good investment? And it was a great question, and I was like just kind of reading people's answers, and I had 2 responses that I kind of resonated with that I wanted to share, if that was cool.
It's cool with me, baby.
So one of the people responded, absolutely. Gotten this pressure from well-meaning friends and family. However, for my husband and I, buying only worked out for us because we budgeted and planned for building a home studio for my husband's side gig, instead of spending more on rental space and cutting down on his pain of shuffling around his loads of equipment. A home gym, 2 gym memberships cut out, a home office for me instead of a co-working space, and a garden to support our hobbies. By no means was it quote unquote cheaper in the long run, nor did we feel like we wasted money renting. We loved renting. We only decided to buy once we ran the numbers, budgeted for the house and amenities to support our lifestyle, and factored in what a rich life looked like to us. All of the above, plus guest rooms so our parents and families can come and stay with us as long as they want, after COVID settles. I still maintain you have to run the numbers and be honest about your lifestyle and future plans. We bought with intent to stay for the next 10 years and in a good school district for our future children. But shit happens and we'll see how it pans out. Long-winded way of saying, though we choose to buy, we are working on changing the dialogue at home so our siblings don't feel the pressure to buy if it doesn't make sense for them. And I completely agree with everything she said.
Oh, yeah. One of the things I know, my brother was a huge power lifter a few years back and had to stop powerlifting just because he's having some issues with his hip, and I think maybe his knees as well. But he invested in his home gym, and although it probably took a few years to break even or whatever you want to say if he was going to his own gym, I mean, he got so much use out of it. I mean, he was in there every day working out hard and just trying to master his craft. And so like for him, that was like huge value and he was willing to invest in that equipment. But when it comes to like renting versus buying, you have to run the numbers. Like and a lot of people say you have to buy and it's just the American way or it's the right thing to do. And no, that's not necessarily true. You have to do what's best for you given your situation. And yeah, you have to kind of look a little bit into the future. And obviously many of us don't know what the future will hold for us, but we looked at it and we said, we see ourselves here for this certain amount of period. Will we be here longer? Maybe. Will we be here shorter? Possibility. But that was what we said that our plan is. And that's how we made the decision to do what we wanted to do.
But I like how she said, like, this is our rich life. Like, sometimes rich doesn't mean in money. Rich could be in just being surrounded by the things that bring you joy. And
you always find the deeper meaning. I love you.
I'm sorry.
No, that's perfect.
And there's one more response that I really loved. Is that okay if I read it?
Please.
All right. So she responded, I love owning our home. It's meaningful to us. But after reading your advice, I now think of our home more as an indulgence and less as an investment. Ooh. And I think that overall is a healthier, less emotional way to look at it. I think a lot of people are missing your point that there are hidden expenses outside of your mortgage that you don't necessarily get back. So anyway, as an enthusiastic homeowner, I support this message. It doesn't mean owning a home cannot be worth it to you.
Flip the script. I like it. And you're right. There are hidden costs to owning a home. And I think the biggest one that we learned pretty quickly was the HVAC system.
Yeah.
And just how much that costs. And luckily we were able to get a 0% loan on that. But that was a monthly payment that we had to take on for, I think it was a 5-year loan. We ended up paying it off in 3.5 years. But yeah, I mean, just those added expenses. Well, those expenses add up is what I wanted to say. And then think about the stuff you put into the lawn care if you have a lawn and all that stuff. So there's just there's a lot of hidden expenses. And it's funny when I look at rental prices, I'm just like, well, that's more than my mortgage. And then I think about it. It's like, okay, well, I'm not paying for this. I'm not paying for this. I'm not paying for this. So there's pros and cons to either approach.
I think overall what I got from both them posts is that an investment doesn't necessarily is monetary.
Yeah.
To me, investment in thinking about all of the things you value in life are more important. You can't just always think about the money side of things. There are other things that you need to think about when it comes to just living a meaningful life.
True that.
Thanks.
I know. I'm bringing back my inner youth.
Oh, man.
And do you have a quote of the day for us, Jilly?
I do. Our quote of the day is by Ramit Sethi, who is the guy I follow.
Ramit's the man.
And I'm going to put all of his juiciness in our show notes. So if you guys want to follow him on Instagram and get some good content.
I highly encourage you follow him. He's good people.
Yeah. All right. Here's his quote. There's no shame in spending a tremendous amount on the things you love. If you can afford it and you love it, why not?
Couldn't have said it better myself. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
I agree too.
Agree to agree. Awesome. And what about that take action challenge there, Jilly?
I think your take action challenge should just look at the investments you're making. The small ones, the medium ones, the large ones, and are they aligned with what you value in life?
Yeah.
That's it.
Do it. You'll get a nice picture of where you're at and hopefully spark a conversation on where you want to be. And hopefully you'll be able to take some action on those thoughts that you all have. So any last words?
Just, I feel like if you look at the investments that you're making, are they helping you become the person you want to become? And if they're not, start changing them.
We'll leave it at that. All right, folks, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you like this episode, please do us a favor and help us spread the message. You can do this by writing a review or simply by sharing this episode with a friend. And remember, sharing sparks a conversation. Conversation leads to action, and action is how we're able to live a happy and intentional as hell lifestyle. We want to thank you all for listening today, and we will talk to you again next week.
See you later, guys.